What's going on, people? Thank you for tuning in. Big show tonight. It was a big week in MMA. We got a lot of topics to break down. We also have this Saturday's UFC 178 card, which is one of the most stacked cards we've seen in a long while. The main event, Johnson versus Carriasso, may not be the best main event ever, but it is a thick card. We're going to be breaking down all the fights, the return of Dominic Cruz, Cerrone Alvarez, Poirier, McGregor, the whole lot. We also have Alan on, who was in Japan this past Saturday for UFC Japan. We're going to talk about the card, and we're going to have Alan on, who's going to be talking about his whole experience. Like I said, we got a big week, so I'm not going to waste your time, people. Let's do this shit right now. MMA Podcast 104. Thanks for tuning in, cocksuckers.
You're listening to the MMA Podcast!
That's right, Lenny Hart. It is the MMA Podcast, the first MMA podcast in a couple weeks. We were going through a little bit of tech issues last Wednesday, but man, you know, last Wednesday we honestly didn't have that much to talk about. You know, it's been a super busy summer in MMA news, titles, a bunch of people, you know, just a bunch of stuff going on. There was the whole mess with Chael and UFC 175 and all that. And then Friday, literally in the course of an hour, we get the news about Thiago Silva being cut from the UFC when video comes out of him, like really scarily close to the whole Ray Rice story. You have Anthony Johnson. Maybe, you know, I mean, he and Gus were probably going to fight for a title shot. Now Johnson is suspended indefinitely. Some news has come out of a potential domestic violence thing going on there. Then Vanderlei Silva retires, berates the UFC. We'll talk about all of that after we cover UFC Japan. We had Bellator, a Melvin Manhoof knockout, which a lot of people were calling a dive. We'll ask Ramses what he thought of it. And of course, UFC Tokyo, a lot of fun fights there. We'll break down the fights after we talk to Alan, you know, who was there for just about a week, I think. But first, actually, yeah, Alan, what is up? I guess we'll save your story till after we introduce Ramses. But where do we follow you on Twitter and all that good shit? Is Alan still on the call?
Hey, Pussy, you still there?
Yeah.
Hey, Pussy, you still there?
I muted up, man. I'm sorry. Yeah, you can catch me on Twitter, Westland Eagle. Instagram, Westland Eagle, AH. Also Twitter, AH. And also, for if any of you that want to catch, you know, all my exploits into Tokyo, I have to use Facebook for that. I'm not really a big fan, but that's how I keep in contact with all the Korean fighters. So catch me on Facebook. It's also Westland Eagle, AH.
Yeah, you were posting a bunch of stuff up on the IG over there. Also, as always, we are joined by the host of the Word on the Street podcast, which actually, I'm like not BSing, was one of the best we've done. We had Coach Clayton Hires on, who had a bunch of really fun stories. We had him and Coach Jamie Huey. It was a fun show. But Ramses, where do we follow you? Where do we find the Word on the Street? What the hell's going on?
I am the Aunt Jimmy Show on Twitter, and yes, last night's episode of the Word on the Street podcast was easily top 10. Great having Coach Clayton Hires on. I'm almost to the point where I've interviewed every single member of Team Sun, and I'll get there soon. But Jake, once again, man, it's an honor for you to have me on the show. I'm just having a good time right now. I've got, I've been on the show frequently. Now I'm getting a little routine going. I like to have a nice meal while I'm on the show here, while I'm, in between hot takes. Right now I'm having some sliced smoked salmon, little dabbles of lemon juice here and there.
You got dabbles,
lightly dusted in salt. Yep. And then, but before that, right now I'm just snacking on some fudge popsicles, man. Old school style, representing word on the street.
Ramses, I've got to ask. I've wondered my whole life since I've met the word on the street. What is your secret? What is it that makes the word on the street?
It's all about your smiles and cries, Jake. All right, out there in the streets, you got to learn to control your smiles and your cries, because that's all you have, and no one can take that away from you. Word on the street.
Appreciate it, Ramses. Let's cut all of the BS. Alan, give us, the whole overview. Where did you fly out of? Where did you stay? Who did you meet? Who did you train with? When did you fly back? I know that you did meet a ton of people, but tell us the story, buddy.
Yeah, it was all a lie. Like, nothing really happened. I didn't go anywhere. I've been in Baton Rouge, so.
We got you all. Word on the street, it was all a hoax.
No, man. It's crazy. I'm still trying to download what actually took place. I don't know if I still can. I can still grasp reality that it all actually.
He did
happened.
A lot of drugs, y'all.
And that I got lost in Tokyo. Jesus Christ. Yeah. So what? That was last Sunday. Not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before. I drove to the airport at like 1 a.m. to Houston from Baton Rouge. Got there, got all my stuff prepared. I already had my money. I had brought about $600, which is like 60,000 yen. I'd already brought that cash with me, and so I left from Houston Intercontinental Airport and flew to Calgary, Alberta, Canada. It took about 4 hours. And then when I got to Canada, had to go through customs and do all that stuff. It was really weird. Never done that before. Then I flew from Calgary to Tokyo, to Narita, which is about 2 hours ride away from downtown Tokyo, Shinjuku. But, instead of taking Haneda Airport, because Narita, for some reason, is the cheaper airport, and it's very accessible. And I found the airports to be like super low level security compared to ours.
So it wasn't like a lot of customs and all of that, brooding agents.
No, not in Japan. And I mean, they do have customs, but they're pretty cool. And I just found the airport really easy to go through. Like, it was way smaller than what I expected. I expected to be, a really huge airport, but it wasn't that big. And, so I landed. When I got there, I immediately purchased they call it an airport limousine, but it's actually like a Greyhound bus ticket to, go to my hotel. And it was $30, 2 hour ride, pretty peaceful. And I remember just on the ride, I was looking out the window, started taking pictures because, it was really cool. I was in Tokyo. I was seeing things I'd never seen before. Just, the Japanese writing all over the buildings that I was used to seeing smashed in Godzilla movies as a young child was now, 30, 40 feet away from me on the street. So I started taking pictures and, started taking pictures of cars and, just different things. Just being really observant of my surroundings, taking it all in. And when I
did you see much English signage around?
Anything that's important, the Japanese have translated to English. Like anything like like airport, like it says airport, it's
All
pretty
right.
easy to travel around Japan. I don't know any Japanese whatsoever. I know how to say arigato gozaimasu. I know how to, say hello, goodbye, and that's pretty much it, I know more Korean words and more Vietnamese than I do Japanese, and I never once got lost, got around the whole week, was able to, buy food, do everything. So, it's pretty English friendly place to be if you don't know the native language. But yeah, first really cool thing, like I knew my hotel was going to be tiny because the hotel I picked was it was really close to the UFC gym, but it was also close to where I wanted to go train at. And when I got there, I went up to my floor and went in my room, and the first thing that immediately drew my attention was that the pillows had bean bags and had beans in them. Like they had a normal pillow, and then they had a pillow that had little bitty, I don't know, pieces of scrap that was in it. And it was really weird because it actually was really comfortable. I have to admit, I think I'm going to buy one here. And then I went to the bathroom, man, and the bathrooms in Japan, the bathtubs, it's not a jacuzzi because it's not, that wide, but it's super tall. So whenever you lay in it, your arms, it comes right up underneath your armpits if you're sitting straight up. So I'd say it's probably about 1.5 times the size of a regular bathtub. And it's narrow enough to where you can, a guy my size, 5'9", 160 pounds, can comfortably sit in it and just, put my arms on both sides and just chill, man. And yeah, so whenever I got there, was taken in the hotel, and Monday night, I knew a lot of the UFC stuff. The guys wouldn't be getting in until Tuesday. So Monday night, I got there around 7 or 6:30 to the hotel that night on Monday, because you lose about 13 hours. And I immediately, hooked up my phone, got my Google Maps going, and just started walking around. Started taking in the sights. Go check out some shops. I was staying in Shinjuku, Tokyo, which is the largest metro area. So I did that, walked, I want to say about 4 or 5 miles that day, and, went to sleep. That was the end of my day. I took a whole bunch of pictures, kind of just, got acclimated to everything.
A couple questions.
Go ahead.
What does radiation feel like?
I don't know, Ramses, because it hasn't taken effect yet. The radiation poisoning. I ate a whole bunch of fish after I found out I wasn't competing in my little tournament, and so I'm still waiting on the radiation sickness to kick in.
Did you have any sushi, real Japanese sushi?
Yes, I had the sushi that has the little salmon eggs.
Yeah.
The little bitty, small eggs that are wrapped
yeah.
up in. Oh man, it's so good. God damn.
Yeah, they just burst in your mouth with. They got that good flavor, little hint of the salt. Oh man, it makes you want to dip your toasted bread in some olive oil and spices. Another question. You hung out with a lot of the Asian and Japanese UFC fighters while you were in Japan. How were you able to tell them apart?
I hung out with the Korean top team fighters, coaches, members.
Yeah.
I didn't hang out.
Really quickly, you met up with Korean top team. How'd you meet them, and how often were you hanging out with them?
Yeah, so Tuesday, the coach told me that he would be in Tuesday. Messaged me on Facebook. Yeah, for any of you who don't know, Asians love fucking Facebook. It's retarded.
What do they call
it? They call it Facebook. I mean, they're always on it. They're always on their app. We're on Twitter. How we're always on Twitter and we're tweeting and crap and pretty heavily active. Talking to Chael and all that good stuff. Well, and I know for the most part, like all the Koreans, like all the South Koreans are all on Twitter. I mean, on Facebook, they all use it, real heavily active. Post something, tag them. They're gonna check their phones and respond to you. So when I did that, Coach told me, "Hey, we won't be there till late Tuesday." So I was like, "Man, I need to go ahead and go check out the UFC hotel, see if I'm gonna be able to go there and hang out, or if they're going to kick my ass out." So the very first thing I do whenever I wake up Tuesday is I go get breakfast, go eat, and then I go over to the UFC hotel. It was really awesome because it's like a quarter of a mile down the street, like straight shot to my hotel. And when I get there, I go sit down, and I end up sitting down next to Johnny Case. And he's sitting in the lobby, and I had a good little talk with him. We were talking. He was like remarking to me like how he was worried that Tokudome was like really, really filled out. And he was, one of the bigger Japanese guys he had ever seen. And, he was worried about his size. And, I never watched any of Johnny's fights, so I didn't know what to expect. But, I just asked him, I was like, "Yeah, it's your first time in Japan?" I was like, "It's my first time." He was like, "Oh, who are you here with?" And I was like, "I'm not really here with anybody, but that would change, and everybody in the UFC hotel pretty much would find out that I would end up being there with Korean Top Team. Tuesday afternoon, Korean Top Team gets in, or actually, yeah, Tuesday afternoon, Korean Top Team, they get in. I see the coach walking. I was kind of nervous, like I talked to him online, but not really super close. And I see him walk by with the rest of the guys, and I didn't want to stop any of them. But out of the corner of his eye, Coach Dong Jin-ha, little short, he's a little shorter than me. He's bald, kind of stocky, looks over at me and smiles, and he's like, uses his finger and points at me. He's like, "Hey, come here." And I was like, pretty cool. So I go over there, talk to him. He's like, we got to check in, do all limbs, check in for his weight and everything, get situated. Korea is only 2 hours away from Japan, so it's not much, as far as like getting acclimated to the time and everything. It's all the same. And so he was like, "Well, come back and talk to you." So I wait down there for a few minutes. Coach comes back down. Him and Coach Song, one of the coaches, was formerly like the Korean national wrestling team, like back for the Olympics a long time ago. Come back down, talk to me, like we hang out for a minute. They're like, "So what are you doing tomorrow?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I didn't really think about it." And they're like, "Well, come back and eat breakfast." So I'm like, "Okay," I didn't really expect anything. Well, I this is where I actually went to the gym. I went to Kenji Osawa's gym and trained. I did kickboxing that night. It was about 2 hours, 10 minutes. Got to train with some, local Japanese guys. Like, I think they had like 2 fighters there. Got to train with some girl that I've always seen on the internet. I don't know her name, but I've seen her online, and she was there, so I got to train with her. It was pretty cool getting to train, listen to Japanese rock music in the background. They were really friendly. Did that, and that was that. That was Tuesday down.
The Japanese rock music, was it "Let's Fighting Love"? Like, do they listen to that shit?
I answer my money, protect my animals.
That's really naughty.
No, it was actual Japanese, like music, like Jack.
Getting back to what Ramses asked before, how do you tell Korean people apart from Japanese people?
Hot take.
Hot take.
How do I tell Vietnamese people apart from Chinese people?
Good question.
Also,
it's
valid
all like
question.
it's all in the like cheek line and like the eyes.
Man, you're a
Koreans
racist, man. This is bullshit.
Koreans tend to have like thicker cheek structure, than at least to me, than Japanese. But they're actually really close, like Koreans and Japanese. But once you look at enough Koreans, like they have more rounded like eyes, like their eyes are normally bigger for some of them. It's just a thing of experience. Once you've like looked at them a whole lot, you can kind of tell. You can't always tell, but for the most part you can. Just like whenever I see somebody that's Vietnamese, they have, slightly tan skin. They have like Caucasian, more or less features to where they don't have slanted eyes. They don't have any of that stuff, and they don't look like they're Chinese or, reasoning like deduction. I don't remember the exact term, but you can pretty much tell which one they're not and then go from there. But I don't know. I've just been doing it for a long time. I've been watching Asian movies, and the way that I would equate this week to, it was really cool, is I would equate this week to being in a Korean film, basically. It was like being in a Korean movie. But, you want me to start off from Wednesday?
No, yeah. Keep on rolling.
So Wednesday rolls around. I didn't hear anything from Coach, so I'm trying to remember. I can't remember if it was Wednesday or Thursday.
Take your time, man. In the meantime,
Wednesday you went to the massage parlor, right?
No, I actually didn't do that while I was there. It was really, really awkward.
Yeah, like we believe that from this racist.
Oh, yeah, I remember Wednesday I didn't hear from the coaches that morning, so I didn't go eat breakfast, and he messaged me later, and I actually went back Thursday morning and went and ate breakfast. So I went and met the guys at like 9 o'clock in the morning for breakfast, and went and hung out. They went and ate the buffet downstairs. They paid for my breakfast. I got to sit with the coach and one of the other fighters. I think we took pictures. I know there's a lot of pictures that still hadn't been posted, but I got to sit down there. Like Michael Chiesa is down there. The guy that does like slick Rick Jitsu or Sick Jitsu. I don't know what his name is, but he's
Juliana Lima's part of that, right? Or Pena?
Yeah. Juliana Pena, I think she came down there. Like she was down there. I'm trying to remember what all other fighters, but there was a lot of fighters that were down there eating breakfast. And I'm walking through the lobby, and the Korean top team, they had given one of those, like they, when I first got there, they gave me one of the walkout shirts. So I'm wearing a walkout shirt, just like them. This little white kid walking around with a whole bunch of fucking, huge ass Koreans. And all the UFC fighters are just like staring at me, like wondering who the fuck I am. Did I win like some type of like contest, online contest, or did I have cancer? And they were just doing
I was about to say, did you tell them you had cancer?
No, I definitely didn't. It was really weird because like when the other Koreans would get there, like later in the week, they would ask Coach like who I was, like, like how come I'm hanging out with their guys? And Coach is like, Facebook, just Facebook. And so
Facebook.
Another interesting note. My name is not Hamilton in Korea.
What is it,
man?
My name is Weslin.
Weslin, hell yeah.
That's badass, man.
My name is Weslin. So yeah, from now on, I will be called Weslin. I will no longer be called or referred to as Alan. I will don the moniker that was given to me by my now Korean top team coach, Dong Jin-ha. I am Weslin. But they all called me Weslin all week. So it's pretty funny that nobody knew my actual name.
Damn,
that's hilarious. So yeah, right. So what all did you do with KTT over the weekend or week? You still with us, Alan? He was getting a little crackly earlier. Ramses, are you still with us? My God.
Hey, pussy, I'm still here.
Hey, pussy, you still there? Yeah, I guess Alan's connection has dropped off a bit, but yeah, like like he's Alan's been on a ton of shows, so I feel like it's definitely appropriate to have him tell his whole fucking story. And I know if you were following him Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, I mean, he was posting a ton of pictures, so I definitely want to get a little background. He was backstage with Hun Yu Lim getting pictures taken. He was chilling in the hotel for like multiple days with the whole team. It sounded like a fun ass weekend.
Yeah, and you know how us guys, you, me, Alan, Wesleyan. We're good buddies behind the scenes. You know, we don't actually hate each other.
Allegedly.
Except for Ross Finkelstein, my bastard son. That shit is real.
Fucking
100%.
son of a bitch.
I hope he burns in hell forever, or whatever they believe in. I don't know about these. Well, anyway, Anyway, we're all tight. We all know each other. We joke around. We bust each other's balls or whatever. And I wish we could get Alan back on, because I was going to reveal that I actually just as a goof, I had him followed and tailed in Japan. This dude was at every geisha house on the block, nonstop. I doubt he even met anybody from the Korean top team or whatever it is. This guy, he only spent $100, but he slept with just as many women as the word on the street. That's right. I am slandering this man live on the air. It's just, that's the word in the streets of Japan. Also, I'm pretty sure he did Misha, unconfirmed. But yeah, man, it was, I heard he had a good time. He's not telling us the truth, though. He's lying to you. He's lying to the show, Jake. He's lying.
I don't like being lied to, Ramses.
You shouldn't, man. But, it was a once-in-a-lifetime trip for him. He had a really good time, the time of his life, so to speak. And, it's a damn shame. We don't know what the effects are that he's coming back with. Obviously, his phone has been damaged because of the trip.
Yeah.
He disappears off the face of the earth when he's doing a live podcast.
I don't know what happened.
Oh, my God.
Alan, Wesleyan, you just missed the breaking revelation by Ramses. We all goof on one another, and as a goof, Ramses hired a Japanese private eye. Had you tailed? Is there anything you want to tell us about visiting certain geisha bars? Maybe spending a night with a certain UFC fighter who beat Rin Nakai on Saturday night? Yay!
No. Where did I leave off? Did the phone cut off?
You were talking about meeting Misha.
Yeah, you were like, yeah.
No.
You were saying she invited you over.
What's really sad is like the next. Did I tell you all about the watching Hung Yu Lim shadow boxing and shit?
I had just asked what all you did with KTT, and you cut out.
Okay. So Wednesday I went and ate breakfast with him, spent a couple hours with him. Then I went up to I think it was like the 7th floor where they had all the media stuff set up, and went and hung out with the guys and got to sit backstage while Hung Yu Lim was sitting there doing his shadow boxing, cutting his new vignette with his updated look and his new pants. And they kept making him like redo it, and dude's like super tired. And so coach starts like trying to lighten up the mood, and coach gets in there and throws like a couple of punches, and then does like a karate chop, and then goes, like typical, like
Holy
kung fu,
shit.
like Asian vignette thing. And
no end to this racism from this man.
Yeah.
Right, I'm just gonna listen.
Hey,
listen.
I have a video of this. I don't know. I'm gonna ask coach if I can post it first. He'll probably say yes, but it was super funny. Like sitting back there, man. I'm like, I'm less than 2 feet away from Hung Yu Lim while he's shooting his little vignette for the UFC that's going to be shown every time that he fights from now on. And, Kunichi Kunamoto is back there getting his makeup and stuff done before he does that. Just really crazy. So after that, I end up just going and hanging out with the guys upstairs in their hotel. They they go to take a nap, because Hung Yu Lim, he's super tired. He's cutting 35 pounds. He's only about 5 pounds away on Wednesday. And coach is like, yeah, just hang out, chill. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of weird. All these guys are about to take a nap and go to sleep. And he's like, oh, you take a nap too. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'll wake up. I might, I don't know what'll happen. But, yeah, so I go ahead and play on my phone for a little bit. And then since I stayed up super late the night before, I end up taking a nap too. So I'm in Hung Yu Lim's room with him, several other Korean fighters. Yeah, taking a nap, just hanging out with UFC fighters.
That's fucked up, man.
Yeah, it's super crazy. They, two of the guys speak really good English. One of them is an amateur fighter, and he's kind of like their photographer, translator. He's a half white. His name's Paul. He does a lot of their social media stuff. And then the other guy's name is Michael An, and he is a teacher in Korea. He speaks perfectly good English. He did all the translating. He was the guy with the mohawk in the ring. In the octagon whenever Hung Yu Lim won, and Michael jumped over the cage. And whenever they looked like they were going to do an interview with him after his fight, Michael was the one standing right there next to him. He's got a huge-ass mohawk, can't miss him. But, yeah, shout out to Michael On. His name is Duck Sauce on Facebook. But
racist.
Yeah, so I just hang out with those guys a couple of hours. And, eventually I'm like, I'm going to go back to my room, do my own thing. I felt like I was kind of intruding on them because I didn't really know these guys at this point. I just met them, hadn't spent too much time with them. Coach was really cool. He made me take pictures with everybody.
How much were you able to communicate with these guys?
With Coach, 100%. He understands. He speaks probably I want to say 12th grade college level English. He speaks good English. And then one of the other coaches understands really good English and can write. He just doesn't speak it that much. But I was able to communicate with the two coaches. And then Michael and Paul, they completely understand English 100%, speak English better than I do. Don't have, a crappy weird ass accent. And Hung Yu Lim, and then Chan Young, I'm trying to remember his last name. I'll give all these guys a shout out on the show before we get off. But he's the PXC featherweight champion, and he's their he's their team leader basically. He doesn't really speak really good English, but I was able to talk to him, and then they have another guy. Big tall guy named can't remember his name. Like I said, I'll give all these guys a shout out before I get off. But he's I think he turned pro. He just fought in I want to say one FC or something like that. But he won his last fight, beat up a big tall black guy in Korea, and he's about to fight in New Zealand. But he doesn't speak too good of English. And then Hung Yu Lim. Hung Yu Lim does not speak that great of English, really at all. He knows some words, and I think he's really shy about it because he doesn't speak that great of English. But he understands pretty well. I can talk to him and he'll understand what I'm saying. And just for him to get the right words out, he'll need a translator to communicate to me what he says. But he's really funny, really really funny guy, real laid back. All these guys, all they did was cut up the whole time, really close-knit group of guys. So they made me feel really at home, but I didn't want to stick around Wednesday too long. So, yeah, it didn't. And Thursday rolls around, and man, it's just all like a blur now. Like, I probably should have like written this stuff down before I tried talking about all of it. But Thursday, I end up meeting up with him again, and coach is like, come hang out.
When did you meet up with Misha?
I didn't ever get to meet up with Misha, and the scary thing is
That's
that
not what I heard.
On Thursday,
we had you follow. That's not what I heard.
On Thursday, whenever I went and worked out with one of the guys from Korean Top Team, and then we went and hit the sauna and all that, I actually saw Michael Chiesa's penis, and it scarred me for the rest of my life.
What?
I gotta ask.
Yeah.
Is the guy working with a log? Tell us.
I'm not going to go into that.
You already have.
Say that.
It is way too late to say we're not going into it. You don't need to give us specifics, but guy working with a hog.
Michael Chiesa is a proud guy.
Hell yeah.
Brian
What?
Caraway, on the other hand, is not a proud guy. He was scared to stand up.
Woof.
I was walking around. I dropped my towel. I'm not super well endowed, but I'm happy. And Brian Caraway, he was just like kind of like crumpled up in the corner of the hot tub, like staring at everybody's penises and asses, and just being really Brian, being very Brian Caraway-ish. Creeper
Hot
status.
Hot takes.
So yeah, it was very strange, like walking around and having Brian Caraway like look at my flabby ass. It was very uncomfortable.
What did Brian Caraway think about your penis?
I didn't let him see my penis. I was kind of worried that he might like it or something.
That's a
I don't
Are
know.
you saying Brian Caraway was giving you the hungry eyes?
Yeah, I was kind of like imagining he might want to try and wrestle me, and I did not want that because we all know Brian Caraway is very good at wrestling with guys. So,
were you
real
at the
quick.
weigh-ins?
yeah, this is
Did you go
before
to-
the weigh-ins. This is
But
on
did you-
Thursday.
But you did go to the weigh-ins, right?
First in line, motherfucker.
What was up with Misha's moose knuckle?
I actually wasn't paying attention to Misha's moose knuckle because I was staring at the Korean zombie because he was like 12 seats away from me, like on the same row, and I was like planning how I was gonna like run past all the security and take a picture with Korean zombie right when the weigh-ins were over.
We aren't talking like a normal moose. We're talking like one of those moose like in the deep woods in Canada that weighs like 7,000 pounds. Just a fucking giant of a moose. It was undeniable.
Yeah.
Dude,
Oh, like-
I didn't even notice.
Man, how
I
could
guess
you
I'm-
not?
I guess I'm gay, or I think my fiance took my manhood a long time ago. She has it on lockdown.
I can believe that, man.
I didn't even get a
Believe.
massage. I didn't even get a massage in Japan. How weak is that?
Yeah, well,
It's not what I heard.
Yeah, wink, wink, wink. Yeah.
I came
Right.
back with one of those cell phone, like the little toys that little Japanese girls hook onto their cell phone. The little, cartoon figures, anime figures. They hook them on
Something
there.
to
with, like, a
remember her
string.
by.
Yeah, well, now I have one of those on there, so I think my manhood did get taken. I think I'm turning into a fancy boy or something. But yeah, back
Did you
to,
spend the whole night with Misha or just a few hours?
just Korean Top Team. I just spent the night with Korean Top Team, and it was very painful.
Sweet Misha. But yes, Thursday, let's get back into it.
Yeah, Thursday hung out with the guys a little bit. Went and hit the weight room. Went swimming. Hit the sauna. Saw Michael Chiesa's penis.
So like aside from the white UFC fighters, when like you're going to the gym, the pool, the sauna, are you seeing many white people?
There's like a fair amount because the Hilton Tokyo Hotel is like a pretty popular like business destination for like business travelers because of all the amenities that they offer. They also they have really good like access to and from the airport. They it's a really good hotel. It's expensive, really like upper class, but yeah, it was like a fair amount of like white people there that weren't involved in the UFC. I was really shocked because all the Asians that would show up, like the fans, like they didn't speak any English, so like I couldn't talk to them, but there wasn't really that many of them. So it wasn't like you had to worry about like, you know, disrespectful like scalpers that were sitting in the lobby trying to scalp autographs and shit all week long. Like it was pretty much like the fighters, some of their camp, you know, like Jeremy Stevens was there with Miles Jury, you know, and like Miles Jury's family was there. But, you know, it was pretty like laid back, and the hotel like had free Wi-Fi. Bathrooms, like I would use the bathrooms there. It was a pretty cool hotel, and you know they're really friendly to white people. But you know, I just didn't stay there because it was really expensive, super overpriced.
Word.
But yeah, Thursday. So after I hung out with all the guys, we did some lines. All that good stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man.
Hung out with them for a while, and then went back to my room in the afternoon again. It was really crazy. You got to think at this point I've like spent like 2 days with the Korean top team, like kind of just like following them around in the hotel, like hanging out with them, talking to the guys. Basically just like, you know, being there, you know, trying not to annoy people. And I'm still trying to like take this in. And then so on Friday, the day of the weigh-ins, man, things get really crazy because I end up, one of the Korean top team guys, the weigh-ins, you know, they only take like 4 people, transport them. And so he didn't have a ride, so he had to take the bus just like me. So we end up taking the bus and going to Saitama. It's about like a 45-minute train ride from Shinjuku. And it was really cool. Got to hang out. We took some pictures when we got to the arena. And we made sure that we were there like really early. So got there, and I was surprised there wasn't that many people there waiting in line. And what we found out was that in Japan, like people don't take off of work like to go to sporting events and stuff like that. So since the weigh-ins were like during like business hours on Friday, people like, you know, they weren't going to take off work to go to the weigh-ins, you know, just, you know, and most people in Tokyo like either work like nights or they work 9 to 5, you know, there's not a lot of like working evenings and stuff like that. So, yeah, we got to the weigh-ins. We were first in line and pretty much hung out. Went and got my autograph poster when the lines opened. It was really crazy because whenever the arena opened up for everybody to come in, they open up the rope to let everybody go by, but it's still like 2 minutes till it's time to go in, and nobody moves. Like nobody rushes the gate, like tries to run in there. You know, like everybody just stands still and listens to the guy with the megaphone. And oh yeah, in Japan, like at every single place like that sporting event, they always use like megaphones like to talk. So you're constantly hearing this Japanese guy going, you know, it's pretty crazy. But so everybody waits, listens, doesn't rush the gate, and then the second it turns like 301, like 201 or whenever they started, the guy starts talking, and people still don't move. And then once he's finished talking, then they start letting people in. So I stormed the gates, you know, was pushing people over, asserting my dominance, and got my autographed UFC signed by card poster, which was one of the main reasons I was there. Bought a couple of other posters for some people on Facebook and an extra program for my brother. And we go and get first in line at the weigh-ins. I'm like videoing, like, you know, I'm in Saitama. This is crazy. I'm in Saitama Super Arena where all these pride fights have taken place, where it's just, you know, history was made, and I'm actually in the same arena. It was just like a whole bunch of a nostalgia. When I walked in, I was just like, fuck. It was crazy. I just, felt overwhelmed by like the stuff that had taken place in that arena, and that I was finally there. This kid from Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, small little town in the South, and I'm in freaking Japan getting ready for the UFC. So, the weigh-ins take place. We're sitting there and, watching all the guys come out, doing all that stuff. And then after the weigh-ins, we go to leave the arena, and I hurry up, go back to the hotel with Paul, and then the rest of the Korean fighters show up. And so they take me back up to Hung Yu Lim's room, and so they start giving him like an IV. And immediately when they start giving him an IV, like he's like, his attitude and everything changed. It's like he was happy and friendly before, but you could tell he was tired. But immediately, like a sigh of relief, you could tell had come over him, and that he was completely like just, laid back now. Like he started talking to me, like being more open, because at first, like he was kind of like standoffish. And so I hung out with them for a little while. We took another picture, like a group picture with all the Korean top team guys. And the Seda boss, the main sponsor for Korean top team, is Seda. It's like a construction company, and Sang Woo Kim is the owner, and he came into town, and so like he was asking the coach, he's like, "Who is this guy? Who's this white guy that's hanging out with all my fighters?" And coach is like, "That's Weslin, Facebook," and it's pretty cool. But I hang out with them for a little while. Then they decide like, "Hey, let's go get something to eat." So I was like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna stay around. I'll let you guys go." So I hung out with them for a little while and then left. I can't remember if I ate with them that day or not. But the really crazy thing happens on fight day. This is Saturday. I go to the fights. Before the fights, like I didn't really expect to see any of the guys, but I end up meeting them all outside the arena before the fights. And the boss is like, "Hey," he's like, "we're all going to eat." So I go and eat with Korean top team, Sang Woo Kim, the boss. He buys me lunch. Like, we all sit there, have a beer before the fights, and we go back to the arena. And I think the first fight had started. Maximo Blanco and Daniel Hooker are in there fighting. And I can see on Twitter, I'm checking my Twitter, that they're fighting. But like in Korea, like, Korean culture, the boss, like you always have to wait for the boss. Like you can't like go and do stuff without him. Like, if the boss doesn't like tell you it's time to go in, or, like you basically just have to wait around until he makes the decision. They're really ingrained in like the culture. It's just like back in like samurai times, like it's all that mentality. And that's why they don't have that much crime, because, people are very respectful, and they, they adhere to their, culture, and, they're super strict and, stuff like that. But, we're sitting outside the arena, and I'm checking Twitter because I'm really worried that the third fight's going to take place with Jung Ho Kong, and I'm going to miss it. And, the boss is out there talking to some girls that had come in. I think it was one of the fighters' girlfriends. And, we're just sitting there chilling. So we start taking pictures, and it's really funny because, a lot of people are going into the arena at this point, and people are starting to notice that, I'm this white guy wearing the same shirt as all these Koreans. And, I don't know if you guys know, but, some people recognize that, like, Dong Young Kim, Jung Ho Kong, Hung Yu Lim, even the Korean Zombie, like, they all Korean Zombie used to wear those t-shirts, but the typical Korean walkout shirts where they have all the logos on them, the white shirt with all the different logos.
Yeah, it's covered in logos, and it says like SSEDA, and there's a little red and blue thing across the middle. Yeah,
like they everybody starts noticing that like I'm with these guys, so they start like taking pictures, and a couple of people ask us like if they can take a picture with us, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm just with these guys. I'm not a fighter or whatever." And so we just hang out for a minute, and then finally the boss is like, "Hey, we can all go inside." So I go along, we go inside, we end up finding our seats, and like to my chagrin, like I didn't realize my seats were going to be this good. My seats were directly above the walkout section, and I was probably like maybe 10 rows up. I'd only paid like $250 for my ticket, but I was like right where they walk out at, and it was crazy, man. Like I had the perfect view of the octagon. I made a video, I think, of when Misha walked out. I hadn't posted it yet, but so
yo, man, put that out there right now, dude. Come on.
I was really nervous leading up to the very first fight that I was in Japan to see, which is Kyung Ho Kang, Mr. Perfect. He'd been screwed out of 2 decisions, so I was like really nervous for his fight because he was actually the underdog, and he ends up like pulling out fight of the night, like a barn burning grappling match with Michinori Tanaka, or however you say his name, and he gets the victory, so we all go ape shit nuts, like me and the people I was sitting next to. I was sitting next to some white guy that like lives in Korea. And it was really crazy, so I'm going ape shit, and I'm all excited and no longer nervous anymore because I already know that Hung Yu Lim's about to fight that bum Takanori Sato. And so after Takanori Sato comes out, I'm recording everything, and Hung Yu Lim like comes out. He comes out to an awesome ass song, and he's all like super excited and pumped. I can tell I'm getting really good video of everything, and I'm like, this is probably going to be a really quick fight. So I don't stop my camera, and I record the whole walkout, the fight, and then the fight's over within a matter, like the walkout, the fight, and like the post-fight announcement of the winner all took approximately like 6 minutes to take,
it was an early stoppage, dude.
Yeah. Early, because he was completely out, but for the entire thing to transpire, it took 6 minutes.
Yagi,
so
you coward.
It was awesome. I got it all on video. We went nuts. Watched the rest of the fights. Fights are over with. And I go back to the hotel. And when I get back to the hotel, one of the Korean top team guys like walks by me, and his name is Koo. He's the Korean hippopotamus is like his nickname. I don't know what hippopotamus is in Korean, but hippopotamuses are like super lethal, and they're super like, they will kill like any type of like wildlife. Like they're like have no predators, no natural predators. But yeah, so Koo like comes and gets me and brings me up to the room. All the guys like they start changing. Hung Yu Lim had some fans that stopped him in the lobby, but for the most part, like it was pretty quick jet back up to the room. And so we're up in the room, and
they have as many groupies over there as they do in Vegas.
Definitely not. They have your occasional like fan that's like asking for an autograph, but and Lim, like, because these are Asian fans that don't get the chance to see him that often, he definitely obliges. But he's in the room, and we're all like, pretty much like talking about his fight, like they're saying, the Hung Yu Lim elbow and all that, and I could tell he's like super excited. And so we talk about it for a little bit, and then the boss comes back and he's like, now we go eat. So the boss takes us, we follow him around a little bit in Tokyo until we find this like pretty decent restaurant, and he reserves, like, he kicks out like half the people, not really, but he reserves like a whole section of the restaurant. And I'm there with like all the Korean top team guys, all the Team Mad guys, which is Dong Hyun Kim's teammate Kyung Ho Kang, and his cornerman, and another one of his friends who's a fighter named Nam Chin Ju, and then I don't know whose girlfriends these were, but I follow them on Facebook now because they followed me. They're two of the fighters' girlfriends were there, and one of the other Korean top team coaches showed up, and so I'm just eating dinner in this restaurant with there's a really good black and white picture of it too on Facebook, but eating dinner with all these Korean guys, and I'm this this lone white guy. And it's really, 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 really funny. Yeah, man, the White Warrior. And so at this point, man, I'm so comfortable around these guys, and like they basically like welcomed me to their group. Like, they're all just like, we're just talking just like normal, people. And the whole time I'm still kicking myself because like I still don't know if this is real, if it's actually taking place. And so we eat dinner. After we get finished, like I had asked one of them, I was like, "You think the boss will let me pay for Hung Lim's food and for Kyungko Kong?" And they're like, "No." In Korea, like either the boss or the oldest always pays for everything. Like it's not going to change. She was like, yeah, don't even bother. And so we eat.
Would have cut your hand off.
Yeah, so we go outside the restaurant and start taking some pictures, hanging out. Then we walk back to the hotel, and the boss is like, "Now it's time to get some beers and stuff." So we go in this like really really high class like cigar bar, and they fix a table for us, and we're not like dressed like in business clothes like all these other people in the cigar bar. Like we're wearing tank tops and real casual like
cigar bar. Holy shit!
Yeah. Like we're just like wearing
for the people that don't already have cancer. Go on, hot take.
Yeah, like but apparently you're supposed to wear like a suit or at least like a tie in this bar and a dress, and we're wearing like tank tops, flip flops, and the staff is like, I can tell, like really nervous because they don't want to say anything to the fighters because they're scared that they'll get destroyed. And also the staff's Japanese, so they're naturally scared of Koreans because Koreans are better. And so we're sitting there, I have some Kirin beer with all the boss, and like we sit down there and hang out. And one of the fighters, like the translator Michael, he's like, you can leave if you want. He's like, you don't have to stay, but like the rest of us, like we don't have a choice because like in Korean culture, like the boss, until he says it's time to go, you have to stay. So like they're just sitting there, and so the coach, like Dong Janai, asked me, he's like, so how do you feel about this week? How was it to you? What did you feel about it? And so basically, like, he was trying to get me to stand up and make a speech because that's what all the coaches had just done. Yeah. And I was like, oh no. But Michael just like translates everything that I say. So I basically just, expressed to him that it was the most unreal thing, basically, next to meeting Chael Sonnen and like Chael being super nice to me and, everything he's done. I was like, these two guys are like my favorite two fighters besides Chael. Like, I've watched these guys for the last couple of years. I always talk about them. Never expected any of this to happen. And for you guys to like take me in and, make me a part of y'all. And he's like, you're a Korean top team now. You're family. And I'm like, yeah, I felt like I was like in a Korean movie the whole week. And, the experience was unreal. It was crazy. And, they translated all that. So we sit down there, hang out, with them for a little while. And then we go back up to the hotel room. I'm thinking, this is going to be goodbye. And no, they're like, now we go eat again. So it was just the fighters. So like Hung Lim and all the fighters, we all go and we go to like this little noodle bar because one of the fighters wanted to meet one of his friends that was in Japan.
Wait, so maybe it's true that Asian food is just like not filling. You just get super hungry 3 hours later.
No, I was about to explode. My stomach hurt so bad at this point. That because I had already eaten twice.
The radiation sickness.
Yeah, but no, these guys just like to eat a whole lot. These fighters, like they're huge. Hung Lim's 6'3", and cut 35 pounds. So the dude's ready to eat. And the rest of the guys, they're pretty thick guys, so they've got pretty hefty appetites. And the food was awesome. We go to like this little hole in the bar, like sushi place. We have these noodles and it's like dipping sauce. And oh man, it was out of this world. Best thing I probably ever tasted. We eat that, and then we go walk around the streets a little bit, just kind of hang out and everything. I took some videos. We talked to the guys, just shot the shit. Then we walked back to the hotel room. By this time, it's like 2 a.m., man. And these guys, they got to fly out at like 7 in the morning, or they have to be at the airport at 7. So, I bid all of them farewell. I get hugs from everybody. Like Hung Lim, he's like super nice to me. and he's telling me goodbyes. Yeah, I'm kind of sad at this point because I know that my trip's almost over. I've only got one more day in Japan, and so I say goodbye to everybody. Coaches come and tell me bye and everything, and bid me farewell, and I let them go back up to their room, and that was my week with Korean Top Team. I know it wasn't super exciting. It's really boring listening to it in my monotone voice. I tried to be as expressive as I could, but I'm not an orator like Barack Obama. I'm not a great orator.
Barack Hussein Obama. Yo, who is the president of Korea or Japan? Or do you know any of the politics over there?
No,
It's the emperor.
I don't. No. Korea. They have a president. They have a democracy. They have their main religion is Christianity. They're not like Shinto or Buddhist like other Asians. Like Koreans are like super like laid back. And one of the things that coach told me, because they asked me a lot like, why do you like these Korean fighters, blah blah blah, and I had explained to him that when I was a kid I watched Asian movies and then I watched Korean movies, and I started out watching Korean Zombie first before I watched any of the other Asian fighters. I'd watched Gomi back in Pride like in 2008 when I started watching Pride videos and stuff, but the first exposure to Korean fighters was Zombie, and for most of you who don't know, Zombie left Korean Top Team on very bad terms. So their coach does not like him anymore because he, Brian Ree, I think like his manager, like ended up filling his head with all this crazy shit. And there's a reason why Korean Zombie is not as good as he used to be, and that's because he used to train with Korean Top Team, and now he doesn't. But I had explained to them like why I liked all the Korean stuff and listened to Korean music since I was a kid and all this crazy stuff. And they were like, well, if we come back to the States to fight next time, they were like, you have to come. Because I explained to them that I tried to go to UFC 164, but I had already booked my trip for UFC Boston, which was, only like a couple of weeks apart. So I couldn't afford to do both. And then at UFC 173, we were all going to go to Vegas, the whole crew, the podcast, everybody. And Kyung-Go Kong was fighting, and I was going to get to see him. And I had to cancel whenever Kyung-Go Kong pulled out of his fight. And coach, I think he was like super impressed that I actually knew like the pass to the fighters, and like, I didn't just like start liking them like, the last fight they had. I'd been there for a while, and he was like, yeah, you definitely have to come back. And then they're like, Paul was telling me that I should come train in Korea, and I was like, well, do you guys have an amateur team? And they're like, hell yeah. They had this, it's called Con Amateur, and they have like amateur fights at the gym and everything. And they have like a really big structure they have several Korean top teams in Korea. It's a really good environment, hard nosed, MMA training. And, so they were like, or you should just come to Korea, like it doesn't have to be the next time we come to the US and fight. So, yeah, I told the coach, I was like, yeah, I'll definitely, I will be there in the States next time y'all fight, or I will come to Korea. So, he messaged me and told me, he's like, you're a part of Korean Top Team, and I'm like, welcome. And yeah, it was really crazy. That was my week.
Fuck yeah.
I went to Japan with zero expectations and came back with a shitload of memories and, friends. I like to call them friendships because that's what they are, like, just like I met you guys on the podcast and we became friends.
Fuck you.
I met these guys and became friends, and, it's super crazy, insane. I can't even, express to everybody how crazy it was for me,
Fuck yeah. Well, segue, you were there. UFC Fight Night Hunt versus Nelson. And I want to ask you first what you thought of the prelims. Maximo Blanco won. The two Japanese fighters, Katsunori Kinoku and Masanori Kanehara, won. Props to me for pronouncing both of those correctly. Met Johnny.
Mess it up.
I don't care.
Kikuno.
Kuno. You apparently were good luck because Johnny Case won via second round technical submission. Kang Hyo Kang won a split decision in a fight where he seemed like a pretty heavy underdog, and your boy Hung Yu Lim with a beautiful TKO. A minute 18 into the first round. I don't know why the UFC keeps giving Sato these unwinnable fights. I don't know who he obviously rubs someone at Zuffa the wrong way because he's getting a lot of these fights. But Alan, I'll throw it to you first. What did you think of all these fights? I know you were really pumped about Kang and Lim winning.
Yeah, man, it was super crazy because I was really nervous for Kyung Ho's fight. You know, he'd been screwed over in the Alex Caceres fight. It was a close fight, but he definitely won that fight. And then the Chico Camus fight, same thing, man. Close fight, but not even as close. And, you know, he didn't get the judge's decision. He finished his last fight, and he came out really hot in this fight at the very beginning. And so I was super pumped up. But as the round one went on and he had Tanaka's bat, I was worried that his legs would get burned out from having that body triangle on. And so it kind of like put even more pressure on me, even though I'm not even fighting or, you know, there's no reason for me to be nervous. But I was super nervous up until...
Yo, is that a cat in the background? What the fuck is going on?
Yeah, that's Mr. Mimu. You guys on the podcast know him. He makes sporadic appearances every once in a while. He's mad at me because I'm not feeding him, you know, human food right now. He
Don't
really
feed him.
But shut up, cat. But yeah, this
throw
fight
a shoe
was,
at
Oh, that fucking cat.
it was
Hot take.
super exciting for me. Being there to witness Kyung Ho Kong fight in person. You know, I had tried to see him 2 different times and missed out both times. So yeah, whenever they read the decision for the judges and he won the fight, if any of you will go to my Facebook, Westland Eagle AH, and check out the video. I have the video reaction of me reacting to the judge's announcement. And I was recording and I jumped up screaming and dropped my cell phone and thought that I had dropped it like in between the seats. And I'm like, oh shit. And I pick it up real quick and then I go back to screaming. And some of the Japanese fans, I guess, you know, because Tanaka's a pretty big deal in Japan now, they start booing, you know, which is real uncharacteristic of Japanese fans. And I stand up and turn to the crowd because I'm pretty close to the front. And I'm like, Kizuka Ishibolaba. You know, say like some Korean cuss words and scream at them.
Shit.
And I had to edit that out. There is an unedited version of the video, but I only posted the edited version.
Post that shit.
Yeah, he should walk out. That moose
Well,
knuckle.
Yeah, that moose knuckle. I saw. I'll say something after that. But yeah, it was awesome seeing him fight, seeing such an amazing fight of the night, $50,000 bonus, and him get the victory. And then next up, you know, was Hung Yu Lim. Came out and easily defended the takedowns. You know, the single leg, which he trained for Sato. He knew Sato was going to go for the single. He just started raining down elbows and punches and just knocked him out. TKO, easy work. Took about like a minute. Kind of upset he didn't get a bonus check for that, but you know, he's now earned 3 stoppage wins, you know, out of the 4 fights that he's had, and he almost finished Tarek Safadine in the 5th round. So you know, could easily have 4 stoppage wins. Kyung Ho Kong should be 4-0 in the UFC, but yet he's 2-1. And yeah, those were really cool. Next up was Katsunori Kukuno and Sam Cecilia. I had heard Sam talk like a lot of shit about Kukuno, you know, and a lot of people were talking shit about Kukuno, like, you know, didn't have any defense or anything, and he was going to get blown out, and it was going to be an easy fight. And Kukuno came out and just, I think his style just was really crazy, and Cecilia didn't know what to do, didn't want to come forward. And yeah, Kukuno in the 2nd round coming out and getting the victory. I thought it was really cool, man. He came out to Michael Jackson's We Are the World, and that must have scared the shit out of Sam Cecilia because he didn't want to fight him at, you know, come the 2nd round. He was, you know, really thrown off. And Kukuno got the win, 2nd round rear naked choke. And then we, you know, I didn't say anything about Johnny Case and Tokudome's fight, but super impressed with Johnny Case. Got to meet him, talk to him in the hotel lobby, and really happy for that guy. On a side note, I was in the hotel the night after the fights in the elevator going up, and Tokudome actually got on the elevator and was leaving early, like right after the fights. He'd already checked out and everything, and felt really bad for him, man, because he's a really good fighter, but he's gotten caught in 2 of his fights, and whenever you're on a like, I don't know, like intimate level with these guys, like you're actually there with the guy after he just lost in front of like 20,000 people, like you have sympathy for him, because you know what it's like to lose, in competition. And the UFC is not like other stuff. Like one loss could make you make you or break you. You could end up losing your contract. So I felt really bad for the guy. And then the last fight on the prelims, Alex Caceres and Kanahara. Kanahara had a lot of talk about him, but I don't think many people gave him a chance against Caceres because Caceres is so well-rounded and he's really good at stealing decisions from other fighters. And Kanahara comes out and just, dominates him. It was kind of back and forth, but Kanahara eventually just like started dominating him. And I was super surprised, but it was awesome. The walkout, the one thing I have to comment on all these fights is that the walkout music, I posted a link for everybody's except for Hung Yu Lim. I don't think anybody knows what his or Sato's walkout songs were, but being in Saitama and these guys coming out to like music that I actually listen to, like Asian music, like Korean rap and, like Japanese like rock music, and Big Roy coming out to We Will Rock You. It was really cool. It was surreal. So yeah, those were the prelims. All the prelims were super exciting except for the Kakuno fight. And it still was a finish. I missed the Blanco and Hooker fight because I was outside with the fighters before the fights, so that was kind of depressing. But heard it was really good. Went back and watched it online, and yeah, it was a really good fight. That was the prelims. Super awesome.
Fuck yeah, Ramses, we haven't heard from you for a hot second. What did you think? Anything stand out for you? And go ahead and give us your thoughts on that Manhoof knockout. Was it really a knockout? A lot of people were saying it was a work, that he was taking a faceplant dive a la Ric Flair, but you say nay.
Yeah, definitely, man. That Manhoof thing was straight up legit. You guys know I'd be the first person to call out some bullshit work if I saw it. But no, it was for real. If you check out an alternate angle of the replay, you'll see that he just gets clubbed right in the back of his dumb fucking head. Instant drop. It was legit. Good stoppage there. Bad stoppage at UFC Japan. Of course, I know he's your boy. I know Yum Yum Lim's your boy now, Alan.
Yum Yum Lim.
Yeah, but Sato got robbed. That was an early stoppage, 100%, no doubt. I do have a message from Sato to your boy Yum Yum Lim. You can give him this message. He says, "Coward." Word on the street. Other than that,
right.
The Miesha Tate beatdown was fantastic. I loved her. She turned this joke of an opponent into like a joke of an opponent for real. Confirmed it for everybody. This whole thing was an easy setup for Miesha. I doubt she.
Yeah, we're doing the prelims, brother. Doing the prelims. Cocksucker, let's move to the main card. That is a decent segue. Yep.
Let's do it.
The main
it was just
card
weird
we had.
That Alan spent almost 20 minutes, and I thought that was the entire card. You're telling me that was just the prelims. All right, let's go.
He's on a roll talking about his trip, but yeah, the main card, Kyoji Horiguchi wins via first round TKO. Kichi Kunimoto defeats Richard Walsh, the Aussie, via split decision. Miesha Tate over Rin Nakai via unanimous nod. Yoshihiro Akiyama with his first UFC win in like 5 years over Amir Sadala, who is also coming off a break. Miles Jury, dude, he's one of these guys. He's, if the lightweight ranks weren't so stacked, I would say he'd be a fight away from a title shot. But he's still a little bit further than that in the stacked 155-pound division. But he looked really good knocking out Takanori Gomi in 92 seconds. And Mark Hunt, man, we've seen Roy Nelson take shots from so many big hitters and not go down, but for the first time ever in the UFC, Roy Nelson goes down. Mark Hunt delivers the KO, an uppercut in the second round that sends him to the canvas face down. A hell of a KO. He won a $50,000 bonus for it, along with Johnny Case, who got it for that technical submission. Also, Kung Yo Kang and Mishinori Tanaka with Fight of the Night. I'll throw to you, Alan, first. Try and keep it under 45 minutes. What did you think of the main card?
Really? I have to keep it under 45 minutes? You might want to just go ahead and give it to Ramses, because
keep it under an hour.
I really don't think that there's any way to do that. But, yeah, the main card, like, I wasn't even, super pumped about any fight but Gomi and Horiguchi. But the rest of these fights all delivered, man. Super exciting. Horiguchi, the kid's going to be champion of the flyweight division. I'm just going to go out there and say that, that will happen. Kunamoto and Walsh, I thought Walsh actually won the fight, but I wasn't disappointed at Kunamoto getting the victory because he was pressing the action more in the second half of the second round and the third round. So, not mad about that, but it was a robbery. Walsh, there's no way Walsh lost that fight. First round was, borderline 10-8. Miesha Tate, Ren Nakai, wasn't impressed at all with Miesha Tate. Thought Ren Nakai, for a girl that should be fighting in the atomweight division at 105 pounds, or at least fighting at strawweight at 115, because she doesn't cut any weight. She just cuts body fat. Miesha Tate did horrible. Ren Nakai actually, I think, won the third round easily because she just wasn't able to strike. But Miesha definitely, just her size advantage, man, and the boxing, was able to keep Ren at distance and, just, put on a boring fight. Got the win. Akiyama and Amir Sadala, holy shit. That's actually like Akiyama's like first legitimate win, because the Alan Belcher fight could have went either way. So, it's really cool to see him come back after 2 years, have a dominant, trademark victory where he just beat the dog shit out of a really tough, technical guy in Amir Sadala. My really upsetting moment of the night was when Takanori Gomi came out and just got starched. He got rocked, but didn't look like he was hurt that bad, but he just covered up and didn't even try to stand up, so, Miles Jury, man, I've seen him fight 3 times now, and the kid is, the kid's a beast. I've seen him fight in person, and he is fucking amazing. I watched him on Tough Live. And then Mark Hunt, Roy Nelson. Like, I wasn't super excited about the fight like everybody else, because all my favorite fighters had already fought. But whenever Roy Nelson came out to We Will Rock You, man, I got all into it, man. I have to say, the moment I got carried away in it, and watching these two guys, heavyweights, fucking slug it out, and the main event of, what was already the greatest night of my MMA, fandom career. It was an awesome fight. Big Roy got knocked out. Mark Hunt with the walk-off knockout. Just put a capper on an amazing card. They didn't really have any bad points except for the Miesha Tate fight. So, great night.
I wanted to ask, most importantly, you tweeted in the middle of that rant, and you were like on a non-stop thought streak, but I was looking at Twitter and something about like Dustin Poirier pot. Are you just that good at tweeting? What's going on?
Yeah, I'm just a beast. I just, I'm sitting here at Twitter looking at the card. Are you
scheduling tweets?
No, I'm actually, that was a UFC article, and I just tweeted it because it was just there.
Scheduling tweets like the ninja. Hot take. Ramses, main card.
I don't even know how to schedule tweets, Jake. Like, seriously, how do you do that?
I don't know. But Ramses, main card, what did you think? Break it down. What did you think about Sweet Misha?
Yeah, that was hands down the best part, my highlight of the entire card. It was a pain in the ass watching these fights early on in the day. I had to shift around a lot of stuff, a lot of important meetings and such, affairs and whatnot. But yeah, it did pay off. The Misha fight was the best. Seeing her destroy Rineki or whatever the hell her name was. Misha just two-pieced her, three-pieced her. She was completely dominant. I don't even think that other woman threw even one successful strike at her. My sweet Misha remains undamaged. She looked great except for the mysterious moose knuckle. I don't know. I tried to get the story out of Alan. Nobody's talking that was there, but all right, fine. We'll let it go. We'll see how she looks next time. But her as far as fighting goes, whatever she's doing, it was paying off. She did it right. It was a humiliating fight for this other beast of a woman, and I hope we never see her compete on the UFC level again. It was a complete canned fight, but sometimes you need those, man. It's Japan, You got to have at least a few setups. Not saying it was a work, but you know what I mean. And of course, actually on Fury, Miles Fury, Jury, man, I actually I had his back secretly the whole time. I just wasn't being vocal about supporting the man because I've noticed recently when I've done that, it does affect the Vegas odds. It does change my money. It affects me in the pocketbook directly. So I stayed quiet. I was sleeping on Miles Jury. But he made me a lot of money combined with my sweet Misha. And of course, Mark Hunt. Honestly, this was probably one of the best who gives a shit knockouts of UFC heavyweight history, if that makes sense. It was just a great, fun, shocking, but at the same time, who gives a shit knockout. Whenever these heavyweights get in there, I don't even know if they're using technique half the time. It's just it's a fight at the bar, except nobody's gonna break it up. You know how it's gonna end. One of them is gonna drop. Roy Nelson, man, I think he's on the decline. His chin, I declare it to be suspect. But I'll wait till the next fight to convict him. And that's the word on the street. Was an excellent card. God bless everybody.
God bless us all. Before we move it to the news, we have a lot to break down. I wanted to ask y'all, going into it, we all were talking about Mark Hunt's weight cut, which apparently started camp at 340 pounds, had to cut 20 pounds in the last 24 hours. And that combined with Nelson's iron chin. Nelson was a big favorite going in. Hunt's now beat him. And usually when someone beats Roy Nelson, they're not far from the belt. Realistically, how far do you think Mark Hunt is from the title, and who should he fight next, Alan?
I don't think he deserves a title shot. The dude got beat by JDS pretty decisively. Wasn't even close. But
how close? A fight? 2 fights?
I think he's like 5 fights away. But because the division
five
is
5 fights. Yeah, it's so shallow.
I mean, the dude is 10 and 8. I mean, seriously.
He might be 10 and 8, but you look recently, the guy's 5-1-1. Yeah, he lost a lot of fights in Dream and his first fight in the UFC and all of that. But the UFC heavyweight rankings are just so fucking horrible,
I would rather see him fight Overeem before he got a title shot, just because I want to see that fight. I think they've fought before. It would be really cool.
Currently, Mark Hunt is 5th in the rankings, and Overeem is 11th. The top 5 after Kane, in case anyone's interested: Fabricio, JDS, Travis Brown, and Stipe Miocic. Go ahead, Alan.
Well, the thing is, Mark Hunt can't have a rematch with Bigfoot because we all know that he'll beat the shit out of Bigfoot this time. But, I think JDS would starch Mark Hunt easily. And, if JDS would starch Mark Hunt, then I think that Kane would also starch him. I don't think Mark Hunt would be able to keep up with a guy like Kane. I think he would get tired, really quick. So, I'd rather just see him as, a gatekeeper, and you test, young guys against him. Have, Travis Brown versus him after Travis Brown fights his next fight. Or, they want Josh Barnett. You could have Josh Barnett and Mark Hunt fight, and the winner get a title shot. I can see the UFC giving him only one more fight, and if he wins, then getting a title shot. But that's because they don't have any talent in the, all the talent in the top 10 of the heavyweight division is all old guys that have been around forever. They don't have any young guys except for really Travis Brown. No other guys are really ranked. So, if you're asking me how many fights away is he, he's probably only one fight away from a title shot.
Hamzis.
Yeah, what comes next for Mark Hunt? This is a hot take, but I'm completely serious here. I don't even think there should be a championship for the heavyweight weight class. No belt, no nothing. Just it's like I said, just let these big lummoxes just fight each other, clobber each other, knock each other out for our entertainment. We don't need to bring a belt into this. Honestly, you'd probably. These idiots wouldn't even notice that there wasn't a title for at least 3 to 4 years. We don't need it. Heavyweight fights should be unskilled, just slugfests. Because you know what? I don't waste any time. And I'm not kidding anybody. I'm not kidding myself. That's all we want to see from this weight class. All right? We don't want to see heavyweight submissions. Come on, think about that shit. It's ridiculous. And that is the word on the street. And that's the bottom line.
And that's the bottom line. And, shit, we've been talking about Japan the last hour and a half. It's time to move on. Time to move into the news. Like I said, Friday, all of this stuff came down. Domestic violence has really been a hot button issue, especially in the NFL. Things going on, players hitting their girlfriends, wives, kids. It's all really sad. And this video services of Thiago Silva looking coked up as a motherfucker, yelling crazy shit. He gets cut after the UFC had brought him back for that original thing. I guess he went to Pablo Popovich's gym in South Florida, assaulted Popovich and his wife with a gun. His wife ended up leaving the country because apparently Thiago Silva had people intimidating her. Just not a good situation at all. But that dropped on us that Thiago had been re-released, and news that Anthony Johnson was suspended indefinitely. Man, if you are listening live on Ustream and you want to call in, the number's 213-457-3380. But yeah, what did you think of all of this news coming down? It's I don't know, selfishly as a UFC fan, I'm really bummed out because I was looking forward to a potential matchup between Rumble Johnson and Gus. Rumble's been on a roll. I hope things get settled. I hope the truth is that he didn't do anything, but obviously if he did, I hope, justice takes course and all that good stuff. But, man, this is not good news for any MMA fighter. Alan, what were your first reactions when you heard about both of these things, and, you think Rumble gets brought back anytime soon? God damn it, Alan. You son of a bitch. Where'd you go? You're not there. Oh, well, we're skipping him. He probably would have taken 10 hours anyway. Ramses, what the fuck is going on? Tony Johnson, Thiago Silva, all getting in hot water over putting a hand on their lady. Would you ever do a thing like that?
Luke Thomas is a piece of shit. Hot take, people. I was listening to his stupid recap that he does weekly, his I don't even know if you can call it a podcast. He basically just apparently just turns on his laptop webcam when he's at work at lunch during his lunch hour alone, because no one else that works with him wants to even talk to this man at all. All right, he has no friends. He was talking about Anthony Johnson, though. I tuned in. I try to tune in until just to see how much I can take it. It's like lifting weights. It's all about building resistance to these people, to these fancy boys in the so-called MMA media, these sabotagers, these enemies of MMA. People like Luke Thomas would see the UFC destroyed if it meant an extra 100 hits on his stupid website. But anyway, he was talking about Anthony Rumble Johnson, and he was saying, just because there was an accusation, the UFC should have immediately backed away from this man, did everything they could to just distance themselves, immediately. Not even, the man has not been convicted of anything. He has not been tried. You are innocent until proven guilty. But Luke Thomas was arguing that it does not matter if Anthony Johnson is innocent or not. So that's where he's at. That's the mindset of the MMA media. Doesn't matter if he's innocent. All I see are hits. I can write a great article on my stupid website about this. That's their mindset, right? It doesn't matter if you're innocent. He came out and said it. He probably doesn't even realize that's what he fucking said. But he did, and I caught it. You son of a bitch, Luke Thomas. Of course it matters if you're innocent. If you're being accused of beating a woman, your wife or girlfriend, or rape or something like that. What was the other guy doing? Whipping his kids with a damn baseball bat or maybe a branch. I don't even remember anymore. Of course it matters if you're innocent. And in this country, you are innocent until proven guilty. Thiago Silva, charges dropped. But the video came out proving that he was, you guys saw it. I mean, the dude showed up to his own house questioning his wife, all coked up, and then he busts out a gun. When he busts out the gun, that's it. It's all game over, He's pulling a gun on his wife. For Christ's sake, you can't really argue your way out of that one. But yeah, it really mirrored the whole Ray Rice NFL angle, and I think that was kind of corny for the UFC to copy that. We hate seeing reruns and like the same stories being reused, like what we were talking about the WWE last night, Jake. So yeah, I don't know. The writing team needed to come up with something else in this case, and they failed us utterly. Thiago Silva, sorry, bruh. Anthony Rumble Johnson, stay up, player, unless it's proven that you're guilty. In that case, we all, of course, hope that you burn in hell and pay for this the rest of your life, and that you end up on Luke Thomas' shitty website some more. Word on the street.
Alan, you dropped off, but I think we got you back. What did you make of all this domestic violence stuff popping up with Thiago Silva and Tony Johnson?
I charge the white man. We all know the white man is just trying to keep Anthony Johnson down. And, I think that Gustafsson beats him easily, but I'm not going to go out of the realms of saying that somebody set Anthony Johnson up, or his baby mama just wants that money. Money.
Praise the Lord.
Money.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry.
No, I think that bitch Skankor just is trying to get his money. She sees that UFC gold coming to him real soon.
Hot take.
He needs to slap that bitch a couple more times.
We will, bro, hot take. We'll find out in the next few months what happens there. But about an hour after that news dropped, the news about Vanderlei Silva retiring, and just like we're used to, he releases an insane as fuck video blaming the UFC because somehow the UFC is at fault. I don't know exactly what was up there, which of course Chael took it like a man, saying, all right, if they're going to pass down these rules, I might have to quit. And Vanderlei makes a video with him getting all sad and angry at the UFC, like the immature guy, we've really seen him to be. But what did you all think of the video, and what do you think about his retirement and lifetime, or I think they announced it as an indefinite lifetime ban, which I'm not sure what that means, but I think that's what it was listed as. He's probably not going to be fighting again in the state of Nevada. Alan, thoughts on the whole Vanderlei? I think this might finally be the last time we talk about him on this show.
I refuse to speak about that faggot.
Fair enough. Ramses?
I'll say this, and I got to keep it honest. I can be fair and balanced occasionally. I was, of course, one of the greatest naysayers on Vanderlei Silva in the lead up to the Chael Sonnen fight that never happened. In my opinion, I mean, Vanderlei Silva is a punch-drunk, alcoholic, half a fancy boy. But I got to be honest here. I got to be real. I got to look deep inside myself at what happened to him. The Nevada State Athletic Commission is totally out of line here with this lifetime ban. Give me a damn break. These people, these commissioners, they are like just living scum. It's a case of, this is how you see what happens to your local city governments. So idiots just get elected, and this is how it looked like a student council meeting where they were all trying to one up each other, and just give me a damn break. What they did to Vanderlei Silva was unfair. Lifetime bans. What was it, $70,000 fine? I mean, I get the fine, all right, I get that, but the lifetime ban. These people, man, he deserves a little better than that, right? This guy is a fighter. This is what he does. He wasn't thrown in the towel just yet. Obviously, the retirement video was because he got tip-off. He had the word on the street on what was coming down the pike. All right, so yeah, he got his shot in before. I think it was a good move. He brought attention to himself. But I actually do support Vanderlei Silva this time. He got a bad deal, raw deal. It was bullshit. These people, I'm surprised that the commission hasn't tried to actually sentence someone to prison or jail time. I'm surprised they haven't overstepped their bounds that much. And it was just embarrassing. It's embarrassing watching these people operate. They are incompetent. They're not very intelligent at all. You can just tell. And half of them seem to be drugged out of their mind, probably on prescription medicine. That's my opinion. That is, though, the word on the street. Bottom line.
That is the bottom line. Vanderlei Silva retires. Moving briskly on, Chris Weidman out of the title fight versus Vitor Belfort, breaking his hand. That fight's pushed to February. In steps Johnny Hendricks and Robbie Lawler, who will step in for Chris and Vitor to main event UFC 181. Two questions. One, which fight do you want to see more? And two, now that the rematch is officially set, do you think it goes the opposite way and Lawler takes it, Alan?
Man, I'm so up in the air about this fight just because of the way that the first one, Johnny Hendricks being hurt and it being a close fight, that if Johnny Hendricks is at 100%, man, who knows, how hard of a fight he's going to be for Robbie Lawler. I mean, Robbie Lawler looked awesome in his last fight with Jake Ellenberger. But I really don't know. I don't want to make any kind of expectations for this fight. I just want to, just take it in, basically. So I'm not going to go in there picking anybody as the winner. I'm just going to say it's probably going to be an electric fight.
Hamzis.
There's a rumor going around that the whole Chris Weidman broken hand thing is total bullshit. I'm inclined to believe that, people. I've personally seen Chris Weidman signed on to the PlayStation Network over the last 2 days at probably 6 to 8 hours at a stretch. He's been on there. You can't do that with a broken hand. I don't care what game you're playing. So it is total bullshit in my opinion. Vitor, they're just going to give him more time to build himself back up. I don't know. Maybe one of them failed a drug test or something. They kept it under wraps. They offered up Vanderlei Silva as a token sacrifice to the commission. I don't know. I don't have the full story. I do know that there's nothing wrong with Chris Weidman's hands. All right. If you believe that, Chael Sonnen's got some real estate to sell you in Oregon, on the up and up. How's that shit? Robbie Lawler versus Hendricks. Tell you the truth, man, we already saw that fight. I don't give a damn about seeing it again. I don't care who wins this match. Neither of them beat the actual champion, GSP. So none of this matters. I don't recognize any of them as a champion, no matter what the outcome is. This is a rerun. And I hate seeing it on the WWE, and it's even worse when it happens in the UFC, except for, of course, the rematch of the century, Sonnen versus Silva 2 at UFC 148. I was there. Word on the street.
That is the word. Moving on. Pardon me. Personally, I think Lawler Hendricks is going to be a very close fight. I think it goes the opposite way. I think Robbie takes it. And to be honest, I'm not looking forward to Weidman Belfort much at all. Vitor apparently just looks absolutely horrible. Looks like he could cut to welterweight, according to Rogan. And I think being off the TRT has really hurt him. I think Chris is gonna absolutely crush him. But yeah, I'm looking forward to see both fights. But as far as what I think is actually going to be a good fight, Lawler Hendricks all the way. Today, news about Metamoris 5 came out, and Metamoris does not disappoint, man. They go after the super fights. They had Chael versus Galvao last time. They had Eddie Bravo versus Hoyler. And this time we got a hell of a match. Metamoris 5 will be Renzo Gracie taking on Sakuraba. That's right. They both very, very, very well-known names in the mixed martial arts game, and actually both of them are known to be great grapplers. Which Sonnen versus Galvao, yeah, we all knew who was better at BJJ. This, I'm not sure. I mean, I think a lot of people might lean toward Renzo, but Sakuraba hurt Renzo's arm really bad. I believe it was Pride 10, that nasty Kimura, and that was their only MMA match. So, I mean, I'm leaning toward Renzo, getting a little bit of redemption for that. I'm sure our boy Ninja is super pumped up. And actually on the same card we have Rory McDonald taking on JT Torres, another UFC fighter fighting over in Metamoris. We got Vinny Magalhaes taking on Kevin Casey, a couple of Team Darkside guys. Of course, we got a secret match who you heard it here first, people, might involve Kenny Florian. Alan, what do you think about Sakuraba versus Renzo, Rory McDonald? Vinny Magalhaes seems to be in every Metamoris card they do. Man, who do you think takes it, and will you be tuning in?
Yeah, I'll be tuning in. It's gonna be amazing. Am I in Japan still?
Yes.
Yeah. Whenever I saw the news, man, that Sakuraba was gonna be doing this, I immediately posted on Twitter and went crazy, man. That's awesome that they have a rematch like this taking place. It's not every day that you get to see a legend like that come back and compete again. It's not in MMA, but he will be competing, and we will see if catch wrestling beats jiu-jitsu. Josh Barnett, ladies and gentlemen.
Once again, I will be purchasing this Metamoris pay-per-view as I've done for the last two. They're on fire. They get nice stacked cards that draw the attention of MMA fans, real fans. Renzo Gracie, man, holy shit, personal hero of mine. Saved one of our friends' lives. I'm glad that he's gotten past the last headline. Last time we heard from Renzo was, when he decided to storm that bar with his posse and whoop some bartender or bouncer ass, allegedly. That was cool, but at the same time, getting a little too old to storm a dojo, but competing, fine. Sakuraba is 63 years old. It's going to be an awesome competitive match. I can't wait to see this, but I'm more excited about seeing Vinny Magalhães compete, man. Personal friend of mine of the show, we'll get him on soon. How about that? And what was it? Rory McDonald's also going to compete too.
Yeah,
I didn't hear the Kenny Florian rumor. Hopefully he doesn't get broken in half. Yeah, who knows what Kenny's thinking, man. But he's also a good close personal friend of mine. Basically anybody that's badass in the UFC or MMA is a friend of mine. And I'm going to watch the Metamoris card. Definitely. Henzo all the way. Bet the farm on it. There will be a submission in this. It's too epic for there not to be. And that's the bottom line.
And that's the bottom line. One more bit before we get to some fights. Yeah. King Casey taking on Vinny.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that? Or?
I'm going to be torn apart, man. I'm going to be torn apart. But that's what makes for good drama, tension, plot lines, storylines. Metamoris is doing it right. Word on the street.
Word on the street. One more bit of news before we break down some fight announcements, then preview 178 and in this godforsaken episode. Benson Henderson, he wants one more fight at lightweight before moving up to welterweight and making a run at the title there. Should he do it? I think he definitely should, man. He looks very drawn out at 155, and a lot of guys can make weight easier when they're younger. When they start getting a little bit older, it gets tougher and tougher. Bindo, he's not really by any stretches old, but the guy just I think he's turning 31 in a couple months. I am totally backing his move up to welterweight. Just like lightweight, it's a very stacked division, so he'll be used to fighting a lot of top guys. It'll be interesting to see how he does against guys who are, your Rory McDonald's, your Robbie Lawlers, your Hector Lombards and whatnot. Should be very interesting. Alan, do you think Bindo should move up?
Man, he lost a lot of muscle mass, like after the Frankie Edgar, the first fight, I think. And he looks a lot smaller nowadays, so I think he makes the weight a little easier. But I think he wants to be able to put back on weight and do strength training. And I don't know, man. He's the right height for middleweight. I mean, for lightweight. But I don't know if he's going to be big enough to compete with all those taller guys at 170 pounds. Most of the guys at 170 who are about 5'9" are normally a lot thicker than he is. And he's not really that big anymore. He's lost a whole lot of muscle mass compared to what he used to walk around with. So, I don't know. He's definitely got the skill, but and he'll be super fast, but I don't think there's any way he beats a guy like Lombard or he beats a guy like, just imagine if he has to fight like Kyung-Gu Lim, a guy that's like 6'3". He's not going to take Lim down. He's not going to be able to punch Lim in the thigh. He's not going to be able to leg kick Lim because, it's just not going to happen. He doesn't have the reach. I just think there's some really bad matchups at 170 for him that he would never be a champion. But, if that's what he wants to do, it's 100% his choice, and I wish him all the best, man.
Let me tell you something about Benson Henderson, man. This news was very perplexing to me at first. He announces that after this next fight, he's going to move up in weight class to welterweight 170. Okay, warning flags right away. First of all, who the hell announces that after this next fight, I'm going to move up a weight class? You do that right after the fight or something, after you know the outcome. What's the purpose of even taking another fight at a weight class that you're not intending to stick around at? It makes no sense at all, except if you figure that Benson Henderson knows that he's probably going to lose his next fight and that he is on the decline, time to move up. He can't do what he used to do. This is a clear indicator of that. How else? What else? It makes sense no other way. You don't announce a weight class move. Why? He says he's doing it for a title run too. Why not start your title run right now? You're gonna chance another fight and then just go into it new weight class fresh. Give me a break, Benson. Everybody knows it's almost all over for you. And I'm sorry, man, but that's what happens when you make a deal with the devil. It comes due. All right? And that's what's happening to him right now, people. You got to pay your debts sometime. And his deal with Satan is coming to a close. And I'm 100% serious. That's the word on the street.
I was lying when I said that was the last topic because I just had this pop up. Remembered it. John Jones fined $50,000, 40 community service hours. DC fined $9K, 20 community service hours. And John Jones, most importantly, loses his Nike sponsorship for that brawl when they were setting up for UFC 178 before Jones had to back out. What do you think? Were the punishments too harsh? Should Nike have dropped them, Alan?
I think that was totally ridiculous. I don't think Nike should have dropped him. I think by the Nevada State Athletic Commission making like a bigger deal out of this than what it is, and the UFC televising the hearing, I think that's what actually caused him to lose the sponsorship. Is that they put so much spotlight on it when it really wasn't a big deal. So I think it's pretty fucked up that happened because, I hate John Jones. He's a douchebag, but I don't want a guy to lose out on money like that because, that could take care of his family for generations to come, that 6-figure deal. So, I'm all about, people making money, being happy, securing the future for their family and generations. So I definitely wasn't cool with that. But, maybe they'll pick him back up. There's probably another angle to this, though, too. He probably wasn't moving the type of merchandise that Nike expects to be moved with the brand. And this was just like their excuse that they were able to use to drop him. I think that's what this was because, let's be honest, he doesn't draw pay-per-views. And I'm pretty sure that's probably the same goes for, how many pairs of John Jones tennis shoes are sold and how many people buy John Jones t-shirts. I see him giving them away for free at UFC events, and I've seen John Jones trying to pay somebody in a back alley to take a box of his shirts and shoes. I also saw him pull a pair of his shoes out of his ass and sell for like $20 one time. So, I think it was probably just Nike just looking for a way out. It was, and this was their opportunity. But, I definitely don't wish that on anybody, no matter how much I hate them or dislike them for being a douchebag and mooning me, Chael Sonnen's parents, his mom, and his coaches and all the women and children, especially that hot Asian chick that was in the lobby of the Westin in Jersey City back in April of 2013. Yes, Westin.
Ramsey's is Jones sweating over this Nike shit?
No, not really, people. And Alan, you nailed it right on the head there. He was the worst selling Nike signed athlete of all time, is what I'm hearing. Just look around. How many Jones t-shirts or Jones shoes have you actually seen out on the streets? It's nowhere to be found. It's like Bigfoot, dude. It's a fucking myth that fans have Jones gear. I heard you get your ass kicked in the hood if they see you wearing Jones swag, dude. I heard he's a joke, man. A studio gangster, so to speak. He's got no street cred whatsoever, and I know all about that because that's all I'm about. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, but this whole dog and pony show with the Athletic Commission finding him community service or whatever, this was some racist shit going down there. They were treating him like a thug. the Athletic Commission is racially motivated. They are a pack of dirty, lying racists, and they hate America. And that's so I'll give Jones credit for that, even though he also is a human garbage and a piece of shit. But I laughed my ass off. Word on the street.
Fair enough. Word on the street. I do want to break down UFC 178, but really quick, there were a bunch of fight announcements recently, so we got to get quick takes, lightning round, no longer than 5 or 10 seconds. I just want to hear your picks on these fights. Nate Diaz coming back to fight Rafael Dos Anjos. Alan, who you got? He's got nobody. Ramses, who?
Is that really a question?
Bitch, I said 5 seconds or less. Who you got?
Dos Anjos is going to knock Diaz out.
Ramses, Nate Diaz versus Rafael Dos Anjos. Who you got?
Nate Diaz is going to come into his second prime. I believe he is one of the greatest UFC fighters of all time. He will defeat Dos Anjos handily. He will win some sort of fight bonus. Mark my words on the street.
That's right, moving on, words on the street. Frankie Edgar and Cub Swanson going to be the main event of UFC Fight Night Austin. Allen, who you got? You are fucking killing me this lightning round. Allen, are you there? My God, people.
What was the match?
You weren't even listening?
I'm sorry. I got Stephanie McMahon's tits in my face on the other screen.
Frankie Edgar and Cub Swanson.
I'll go since Alan's dead. This one, going down here in Austin, my city. I don't know if I'll be there yet. I like to keep that a secret. I have a list of demands the UFC hasn't met yet, but if they do, I'll be there. But Cub Swanson, Frankie Edgar, gonna be a fun fight. I think Frankie's done though. I mean, he beat. I'm not going to name names, but he beat a total bum in his last fight. That was a gimme. Cub Swanson, it's probably going to pick him up and just actually toss him out of the cage like garbage.
Alan, you drop off again, and I'm getting on a plane to Louisiana to beat your ass. Who you got between Frankie Edgar and Cub Swanson?
Is that even a real question? Frankie Edgar's going to beat the dog shit out of Cub Swanson.
Bobby Green and Edson Barboza is going to be the co-main of that same fight night in Austin. Who you got in that one?
Shit. Bobby Green, volume, Edson Barboza, knockout power. That's a toss-up, man. Bobby Green.
Bobby Green, yeah, I'm sort of leaning that same direction. What do you think, Ramsey?
Green's got some heat. Barboza, he's like a fair weather fighter, man. I don't think he's going to be on for this one. Too much heat with the Bobby Green. He's going to be in Texas. I'll go with him, but this is a no bet for me. It's too close to call.
Too close to call, and I believe there was one more we were going to knock out. Yeah, Tony Ferguson and Abel Trujillo, a lightweight match. I'm actually leaning Ferguson in this. It's going to be at UFC 181. Alan, who you got?
Yeah, I think Ferguson's just way too well-rounded for Trujillo. I think Trujillo knocks out people with no chin, but other than that, no. Tony Ferguson. Oh, cuckoo!
Ferguson, what? No. Brian Ebersol is going to finish what Uriah Hall started and destroy John Doomsday Howard on Saturday. It's not even going to be funny, people. He's back. One of my favorite fighters of all time. Tony Ferguson, who gives a shit? Brian Ebersol, people, destroying John Doomsday Howard. It's not even going to be funny. This is something like his 60th fight that we know of.
I am putting a notice out for new panelists next week because that is the next topic, UFC 178. We haven't gotten there yet, buddy. We are breaking it down, though.
I thought you said this was the last question.
Yeah, I just threw out Ferguson versus Trujillo. Actually getting flustered. Let's move on. UFC 178. It's going to be this Saturday at the MGM Grand. It originally was going to be headlined by Jones versus Cormier. Now we got Mighty Mouse versus Carriazo. I don't know if it's as stacked of a main event, but yeah, the prelims. Break it down for us, Ramses. We got Tuck versus Lee, Gimburian versus Gibson, Howard versus Ebersol, Wonderboy versus Cote, Masvidal versus Krause, and Cruz versus Mizugaki.
Only 2 fights matter. I just named one of them. Brian Ebersol is going to defeat John Doomsday Howard. Bet the whole entire farm on it. He's going to crush the man. I mean, Doomsday didn't even have an answer for Uriah Hall, you heard Clayton Hires last night on the show. Uriah Hall's both his feet, his back, his neck were broken during the fight, and he kept fighting and whooped Doomsday Howard's ass for the decision. It was epic. It was spectacular. That's going to be the best fight. But the curiosity fight, I want to see what they have planned, what they scripted for Dominic Cruz versus Miyagi, man. I'm really excited about this fight, but I don't believe, and the word is that Dominic Cruz, nobody's believing that this guy's going to show up or turn up with anything. It's going to have to be a solid work for him to win. And, it's a courtesy match. That's all it is. But hats off to him for at least trying to come back. But hopefully he's not BJ Penn status. That's all I got to say.
Alan?
Yeah, there's only one fight this Saturday night, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Justin the Diamond Poirier takes on Conor McGregor, and what should be the main event of this event. It's going to be the craziest featherweight fight of all time. It's going to mindfuck everyone because it's going to be the greatest fight ever. It's going to be insane. And after Dustin Poirier knocks out or submits Conor McGregor, he's going to call out.
Doing the prelims. We're doing the prelims.
Well, shit. I got nothing for you.
Fuck, guys, come on. The return of Cruz. It's going to be really interesting. But break down the main card for us, Alan.
Oh wait, shit. Cruz is on the prelims. I forgot. It's the main event of the prelims. I got Takeya Mizugaki, KO, and Dominic Cruz because Dominic Cruz is going to hurt his leg again in the fight, and Mizugaki's going to knock him the fuck out.
Yeah, we got the main card. We got Kat Zingano coming back too. Tim Kennedy against Yoel Romero. Poirier versus McGregor. Cerrone Alvarez. Not really a good main event.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. All these fights. If you would have had Cormier versus Jones headlining this card, this probably would be arguably one of the best cards of the year. Maybe the best card. But whenever it's like you take the polish off of whatever the metal is, and it's still shiny, but it's not quite as shiny, and it just it's going to be a great night of fights. Every single fight on this card is going to be amazing, but that main event, let's be honest, Demetrius Johnson is fighting a guy who was going to be like a 6-1 underdog versus Kyoji Horiguchi on the UFC Japan Fight Pass card. Chris Carriazo, I don't care how people build him up now. He was going to get destroyed by Horiguchi, and Mighty Mouse probably won't even finish him as quickly. Jesus Christ, it's not even a real main event. Soto versus Dillashaw was more of a main event than this is. Let's be honest. Jesus Christ. Eddie Alvarez in the UFC. Holy fucking shit.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. The main event, Demetrius Johnson, I'm sorry. I don't care about that one. But the rest of the card is actually pretty damn awesome. The return of Kat Zingano. I want to see where she's at mentally. Tim Kennedy, I always want to see him get his ass whooped. Hopefully Romero does that. Poirier McGregor, that's going to be an entertaining fight, I'm guessing. But I'm not on the McGregor hype train myself. Cerrone versus Alvarez. Breaking news, word on the street. You heard it first from me. Donald Cerrone is injured. Look for his leg to be all types of fucked up. I believe that he's going to get smoked cleanly. And yeah, man. Other than that, I'm gonna tune in. I am going to purchase this pay-per-view. It's sold. It's a good card. They're back to it, and can't wait, man.
It's going to be a stacked ass card. I can't wait for it either. I was listening to the MMA Hour, and Ariel himself, we give him a lot of shit, but he made a good point. He said every single fight, has an interesting storyline you can really bite your teeth into, and I'm going to be tuning in this Saturday. Follow us on Twitter at the MMA Podcast, themmapodcast.com. Alan, where do we find you?
Catch me, Westland Eagle AH, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram.
Hamzis.
The Aunt Jimmy Show on Twitter. Word on the Street podcast every Tuesday. Thank you, Jake, for having me on the MMA Podcast. Thanks to everybody out there. Check it out. The salmon was good. The wine was excellent. It's time to smoke now and just wait for these fights to happen. And I'd like to say from the bottom of my heart, God bless everyone. Accept Jesus into your heart today as your Lord and Savior. Word on the street.
That's right, that is the word. May not have been our best performance, but we'll be back next week, coming at you harder than ever, breaking down UFC 178 and all that shit every Wednesday night. We appreciate it. We'll see you next week. Until then, we gone.
I did it for triumphant, born with pride and abundance. Look up to the sky, hide a little smile and amusement, never grow accustomed.